Welcome, everyone. We're going to give just a couple moments for everybody to get in. I see some attendees coming into our webinar. So great to have you. Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. It is so great to see all of you here. I can't see your faces, but I can see that you're participating, and we are so glad to have you. Welcome to Soul Steps Masterclass and Performance, a part of our Juneteenth commemoration. Today's Community Day is presented by Horizon Foundation for New Jersey. And I want to thank you all for joining us today as we commemorate Juneteenth. On this day, we want to acknowledge the many disparities created in America due to the enslavement of people of color and use this now federally recognized holiday as a way to cultivate equity, to raise social awareness, and to underscore the importance of Black lives and Black voices. This morning, we were joined by local artist and educator Queen Moore in a session devoted to creative journaling. So if you weren't able to join us this morning when we kicked off our community day, do hop over to our Facebook page, and that video does live there. So please check that out. It was a really creative and interesting way to kind of start off our commemoration. Let us know in the chat or below in the comments where you're joining us from. We love to hear from you. We love to see where all you are tuning in, what state, and maybe how you're commemorating today. We love to know. We love to know what you're doing, where you are. And again, we're very excited to have you here. So before we begin our program, we would like to acknowledge the traditional homelands of the Lenape, as also known as the Delaware, upon which the Newark Museum of Art in Newark, New Jersey resides. My name is Megan Douglas, and I'm the manager of public programs at the museum. And today I'm very excited to introduce you to Soul Steps. Founded in 2005 by dancer, choreographer, and producer Maxine Lyle, Soul Steps is based in the New York City area and showcases the African-American dance tradition known as stepping, not to be confused with Irish step dance. Their mission is to expand the presence of stepping throughout the world while creating avenues for cultural exchange and awareness among diverse communities. For over a century, step dancers have used their bodies as percussive instruments to create a new physical language that inspires, celebrates, and forges community. Soul Steps brings this explosive art form to the stage in a high energy performance that combines percussive movement, hip hop rhythms, and call and response. Their performances, residencies, and educational programs are suitable for all ages. So we're going to put some information below in a few moments and throughout today's program. So do check them out, check out their website, check out their social media. But right now, I would like to bring them on and welcome them. I would like to introduce you all to Maxine and Diamond. And I am going to turn today's presentation over to you all. Welcome, Maxine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us. It's really exciting to be here on Juneteenth to celebrate this moment. Yeah, we're looking forward to sharing a little bit of the history of STEP with all of our participants. And also we have some exciting moments where we'll be inviting those of you who are watching to step along with us. So if this is your first experience with STEP, not to be worried, we will move very slowly. And in a few moments, you'll get to meet my colleague, Diamond, who is going to be teaching you some step choreography. And actually, I would love to know, before we get started, if you could just put in the chat, just put a 1 in the chat if this is your first experience with step. And let's see who we've got here.
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So welcome. And if you are not new to STEP, I still invite you to join in with us because as As we will discuss, STEP is very much about community and making sure that we are sounding and looking like one, but still celebrating all of our differences. So, so we invite you to just come along for the ride, whether you're new to STEP or have familiarity with STEP. So let's move in now to our slideshow. Looking for that first slide to come on up. Okay, thank you. Can we move to the next slide? Okay, I'm just, there we are. Okay, thank you. So Soul Steps is a professional step company, as you heard, founded in 2005. We're based in the New York, New Jersey region. And we have been we've brought step to communities everywhere, from New York to Kosovo. We believe that we are cultural ambassadors through step. Step is very much a dance that forges community. And so we just feel privileged to have been able to do what we do in so many different parts of the world. And as I mentioned, today we will be inviting you to jump right in with us. And I know that we are short on time, and there's no way that we could possibly cover the expansive history of STEP in the short time that we have left, but we do want to take you through a few key points. So I'll ask you to just move on to the next slide for me now. Thank you. And one more click. Okay, so rhythm has always been a part of the African diaspora, and particularly rhythm has functioned as a tool for celebrating rites of passage, be that weddings or funerals or birthdays or anniversaries. Rhythm has often functioned as a way to celebrate that transition from one phase of life into another. The other interesting thread about rhythm for people of the African diaspora is that rhythm has functioned as a form of social protest, a form of resistance, a form of survival. And we're going to talk more about that as we go through the program. Next slide. So the beginning of STEP here in the United States really started among African-American fraternities and sororities, otherwise known as Black Greek lettered organizations. And before we can even talk about how STEP came about in these organizations, we really need to look at how these organizations came about to begin with. In the early 1900s, African-American college students were really not permitted to go to the same schools that white students were going to. A few were able to, make their way into those communities. And even then, when they were a part of those predominantly white institutions, they were excluded from being a part of the social scene. And so being that they were excluded, they felt the need to create their own safe space. And that gave birth to what we know today as African-American fraternities and sororities. In 1906, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity was incorporated, was founded at Cornell University, which is a predominantly white institution. And then a year later, the Alphas made their way to Howard University, which a lot of people think of as the Mecca of the STEP world, because so much of STEP really is celebrated at Howard and many other historically Black campuses, but Howard is really known for celebrating STEP. And then in 1908, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated was founded. And so now today we have 9 major African-American fraternities and sororities. We call them the Divine Nine. And STEP is a huge part, as I mentioned, of what these organizations do. Now, I shared a few moments ago that rhythm really functions as a rite of passage, or has traditionally functioned as a rite of passage in the Black community. And we see that happening with step, and especially in the beginning days of step. African-American fraternities and sororities celebrated students entering into these communities by stepping. And of course, it didn't look like what it looks like today, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but they definitely celebrated moving into these organizations by using step as an initiation practice. Next slide. Oh, while we're here, can you give me one more click? Okay, thank you. So fast forward a little bit to the 1940s. So what we were just talking about were the early 1900s. And at that time, you did not see a lot of step overtly performed, because what I did not mention is that these historically Black campuses were being run by white philanthropists and missionaries who really enforced their moral code on African-American students. So dancing publicly was frowned upon, which is why it probably took a few more decades before we saw step being performed more overtly on campus. So now here we are in the 1940s, and African-American college students go off to fight in World War II. And when they return home from the war, they bring all of that military training and discipline with them into the step community. And so they would march in lines. And we called it lining back then. It wasn't called stepping because the movement was linear. Eventually, it evolved into what we know today as step, but it was very simple back then. It was stomps and claps and chants. And that was their way of demonstrating their brotherhood and sisterhood. And we can still see evidence of those linear formations in some of the step choreography today. But the other interesting thing to note about the military is that a lot of the step terminology that's still with us today was based off of that influence. So a step team would be known as a step squad. The person who runs a step team is typically called the drill sergeant or the step captain. And steppers are very serious when they practice and serious when they perform. And again, that all comes from that military code of conduct. And that's part of the reason why steppers rehearse one tiny part of a routine over and over and over again, because it's not just about the performance, it's about the discipline that goes into the performance. Next slide. So blades are something that when you see a step team perform, you will more than likely see them do. Blades are straight or angular arm positions. We call them blades because they look like they cut like a knife. The fingers are typically very close together, looking like the edge of a knife or the blade of a knife. And steppers get creative and do these blade patterns in all sorts of fun directions. So we are going to, without further ado, move you into learning some blades. Next slide. So yes, now it's time for our step breakdown. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Diamond, who is going to ease you into step.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diamond. I have been with Soul Steps for 3 years now. And I'm just so excited to be here with you all today. It's Juneteenth. It's now actually a federal holiday. How exciting is that? So before we start, I want to teach you our first position. We like to call this Stepper's Halt. So we use Stepper's Halt as a way to just know that we're together, we're ready, and it's time to begin, okay? So when you hear me say Stepper's Halt, you're gonna bring your fists together. You're gonna stomp your foot, and as loud and as strong as you can, we say, huh, right? So I say Stepper's Halt, we bring our fists together, we stomp our foot, and we say, huh, okay? Can we give it a try? Steppers Halt, huh. How do we do? I'm sure we did great. Let's try it again. So after we say huh, After that is completely silent. Because again, we have to be together, we're at attention, and that's how we know it's time to begin. Okay, so let's try steppers halt again. Steppers halt. Huh. Good. Okay, so as Maxine was talking about, she spoke about the military influence and blades. So we're gonna learn a few blades. Steppers do blades to all sorts of directions. So we're only gonna learn a few today. Okay, so we put our arms out to the side. One arm is bent and one arm is straight. And when we like to do our blades, we also stomp our feet, but we're just gonna learn the arms first. So arms out to the side, nice and strong and straight. That's one side. And what we like to do to one side, we love to do to the other. So just switch it, right? So we went side, side. Yeah, okay. So after our two sides, then we also, another direction of blades we like to do is our box. So it's a nice, strong, our fingers are together and tight and straight. We make a box up. And again, what we do one way, we like to do the other. So we bring that box down, right? So we went up, down. You might get a good workout. So let's work those arms out. So we went side, side, up, down. How's that going? Good. So another we like to do is an X. So you're just gonna make an X across your body. Nice, strong, sharp fingers and hands. And after we make our X, we like to just open it. Nice and strong and sharp. So we went X, open. Good. So all of those we did side, side, box up, box down, X, open. Good. Let's do just the arms again. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Side, side, box, down, X, open. Good. And now can we add our stomps to that? So every time we change a blade, we stomp our feet. So we go stomp, 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 stomp. Okay, you think we could try it together? We'll keep it slow. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Side, side, box, down, X, open. Good. And make sure those arms are nice and sharp and strong. Remember, this is where our military influence comes from. Nice, sharp, and strong arms, right? And again, we do blades all sorts of directions. So if you ever see steppers and see a step show or step squads and teams performing, you'll see some sort of variation of blades. We like to go up and down and angles. We move around. We do all sorts of stuff. Okay, so can we try our blades a little faster? Let's do it. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Side, side, up, down, X, open. Good. Can we do that 2 times in a row? I'm sure we can. Ready? So after you do your X open, just go back to your side again. Let's try it. 5, 6, 7, 8. Side, side, X, box, down, X, open again. Side, side, box, down, X, open. Good. Awesome job. All right, back to you, Maxine.
Thank you, Diamond. I hope that you all felt good about that, and really it's not about getting it perfect, it's just about trying it out with us. So so if you were able to get on your feet or even try it from a seated position, we commend you for giving it a try. And now let's move into the next part of our journey through history. Again, not an expansive journey, too expansive for us to cover it all. So this is not inclusive of all parts of the step history, but we want to give you in the short time we have as much as we can. So we are fast forwarding now to the 1960s and 70s, when step was really starting to become a hot thing on college campuses. And at that time, steppers were taking on movements that were looking more complex, and also these movements happen to parallel some of the movements we see in different African dance forms. Now, I will say we cannot go back and trace whether or not this was a conscious decision or subconscious thing that came about, but it is interesting to note. I think it's actually pretty remarkable to note that there are these similarities in the technique, and that generations later and 2 continents removed, right, we can see these 2 communities that are doing movement that kind of resembles one another. So in the 1960s and 70s, steppers were moving away from the linear pattern that we had talked about with the military, and we're starting to incorporate more circular movement. And the circular movement is reflective of certain styles of African dance. We see this in different forms of dance from the Congo, and we also see it in some early African-American dance forms like the ring shout. This is a picture here that you're looking at of the ring shout, where people move in a counterclockwise direction and shuffle their feet, and it's sometimes associated with religious ceremonies. Can we move to the next slide? Thank you. So the picture you're looking at here is actually a picture of members of Soul Steps performing with about 30 other amazing women in Paris. We were doing a Paris fashion show performance. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because you can see the circular pattern that I was referencing, which you'll notice in different step choreography today. It's still very prevalent, but that's a modern example of what we do. Next slide. Thank you. And another technique that steppers do a lot of is low squats and or hitting the floor. And this has connections to certain parts of West and Central Africa, certain dance forms there where they would hit the floor. Hitting the ground is a sign of respect. In certain African dance forms, you're respecting the drummer. Of course, as steppers, we are the drummer, right? We're the musician and we're the dancer in one, all combined. And so you would see, you still to this day see a lot of steppers who are hitting the floor, like Diamond there in the picture. And so again, I just want to reiterate, we don't know if this connection to West and Central African dance was a subconscious thing on the part of certain steppers, or if it came about consciously or subconsciously. We don't really know, but we do think that the connections are noticeable enough to point out. Next slide, please. And another very common move in the step world is clapping under and over the leg. You'll see a lot of steppers do over-under claps, and this is reflective and connected to children's games in the Congo, particularly traditionally some of the games that the girls in the Congo would play. So again, just interesting to note that there are those similarities with step techniques. Next slide. So we are going to move you in, get you moving again, because we know you miss your movement with Diamond. So I'm going to stop talking here and turn it back over to her so you can work in some of what we just talked about.
It won't let me start my video. Okay. Okay. Hi. Okay. So we got warmed up, right? We learned our steppers hold, we learned our blades. Let's get into some steps. So we're gonna start with a stomp, stomp, clap. Okay, can we give it a try? Ready? 6. Ready? 6, 7. Oh, did I go out? Okay, 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap. And I'm really big on, if we could say it, we could do it. So you'll notice me saying exactly what we're doing. And don't worry, like you can say it too, and it's really helpful. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap. Good. Let's do it one more time. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap. Good. So after stomp, stomp, clap, we're gonna lift up our leg and we clap under it, just as Maxine was talking about, right? So we do stomp, stomp, clap, under. Can we try that? Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under. Good. Let's do it again. And to meet yourself halfway, we bring our body over, but we also lift that leg too. So we're in a nice, we meet our leg and our body at the same place. So you don't have to worry about bringing your leg up too high. You don't have to bring your body down too low, right? Let's try it. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under. Good. One more time. 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under. Good. So after we clap under our leg, we're just going to put that foot down and stomp. Can we add that on? Let's try it. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. Good. I know we're doing great. I can feel it. Let's try it again. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. Awesome. So after that, I'm sure we could guess the next thing we're gonna do is a clap. So the whole thing looks like stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp, clap. You hear that beat? It's kind of a hip hop beat in there. Boom, 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 boom. Let's try it. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp, clap. Awesome. You learned your first step. So do you think we could do that 4 times in a row? I'm sure we can. By now you're professionals. Let's try it. 4 times. Just keep going. Don't stop. Ready? 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 1. Again, stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 2. Again, stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 3. One more. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 4. Good. How'd that go? See us writing in the chat. Or are we? I think so. Okay, let's try it again. 4 times in a row. Let's do it a little bit faster. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 1. Again, stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 2. Go, stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. 3. One more. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp, clap. Awesome. How'd that feel? Do you feel like a stepper? You should, you should. Let's do it one more time. And how about this? Let's see what you remember. Steppers, hop, huh. I wonder if I tricked anybody. I don't know. All right, let's start our step 4 times. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stomp, stomp, under, stomp, 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 under, stomp. One more. Stomp, stomp, clap, under, stomp. Good. Awesome. Maxine, can I teach one more step?
Let's see if we have time. We'll come back to
Okay.
that. And I want to make sure we get the Thank you, Diamond. Thank you. Okay. Diamond is having so much fun with you all. I'm having fun watching.
I am
right now. But we want to make sure that we get on to this last piece before I turn it back over to Diamond, and then she can give you whatever choreography her heart desires. Yes, Diamond, you have them sweating, they're saying in the chat. Look at that. So we did want to share a little bit with you about South African gumboot dancing, which many steppers believe has a direct link to step. Now, the story of South African gumboot dancing is phenomenal in that it is, I believe, a dance of social protest, a dance of resistance, going back to the principles that we were talking about in the very beginning of this program. And you can see very plainly that South African gumboot dancers are determined to use rhythm as a means of their survival. So the history begins in the late 1800s in the gold mines of South Africa and coal mines of South Africa. And at that time, these were migrant laborers who were traveling from, quite a distance, traveling far from home. They were working alongside people who did not necessarily speak the same language that they did. And so there was a need, a thirst for community. And on top of that, they were being treated terribly in those mines. Their bosses were overtly racist and mistreated them because of the color of their skin. So these mines, on top of the natural conditions being difficult, the mines being hot and dark and filled with dirty water that made the miners sick and gave them sores on their feet, their bosses didn't want to take care of the environment that they were working in. So they didn't want to get rid of the water that was making them sick. And instead, they just gave them boots, tall boots that came up to their knees, and we call them gum boots. And these miners, while they worked, could not communicate, were not permitted to speak. If they were caught slowing down on the job, talking on the job, they would be beaten or killed. And so being as resourceful as they are, they decided that they would use the one thing they had on them in those mines, and that was their boots. And they hit the sides of their boots to create rhythms. And that was how they were able to develop a code, a form of language that their bosses didn't know about. So they would use the rhythms to communicate. And eventually their bosses saw the dance form, but had no idea that they were talking, and said, we can use this and make some money off of this. And so they would have the miners perform for the community, the whole while not knowing that these miners were actually talking about home and love and loss and pain, and sometimes making fun of their bosses right in front of their faces without them knowing. And I love this story because I relate to it as a stepper. When people see us perform, they become quickly enamored by the choreography. And the choreography is wonderful to look at. Step choreography is visually pleasing, but I find it interesting that similar to these miners, there's a story behind it. There's a reason why we do what we do, right? There's a reason why African-American college students came together through rhythm. It's because they were living under Jim Crow, right? And beyond those campus gates, they couldn't talk to one another. They could not engage with one another and be treated as be honored and respected as human beings the way they deserve to be. And so for me, I think that's that connection there between gumboot and step and the history that they both came out of. We like to think of South African gumboot dancing as the early roots of step, or the cousin to step. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it back over to Diamond so that she can share some step with you. And then, and Diamond, if there's time, you can work in whatever backflips or whatever else you want to do with the group.
Okay, sounds good, Max. Thank you. Okay, guys, so as Maxine was talking about gumboot, usually we'd have our gumboots on, but let's just pretend, right? And be careful, let's not hit our legs, the sides of our legs too hard. But Okay, so we're gonna start with 4 marches. We're gonna go march, 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 march. And after that 4, just add a clap. Okay, so it goes march, 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 clap. Can we try that? Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. March, 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 clap. Let's do it again. 6, 7, 8. March, 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 clap. Good. One more time. 5, 6, 7, 8. March, 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 clap. Awesome. And you might notice my body's bent over a little bit and I'm really picking up those legs. We're really moving. We're in these gold mines, right? We're marching. We have our boots on, right? Good. So we do our 4 marches with our clap 3 times. So can we try that? March, 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 march 1, march, 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 march 2, and just keep it going 3 times. Let's try it. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. March, 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 2. 3, march, 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 clap. Awesome. So adding on, after our 3rd one, we like to call this a break. We're just gonna do 4 hits. We go step, hit, the outside of what would be our boot, right? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Can we try just the hits? Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Stomp 1, stomp 2, stomp 3, stomp 4. Good. How's that feel? Thumbs up? I assume you're all giving me a thumbs up. Let's try just the break again. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. Stomp, hit, stomp, hit, stomp, hit, stomp, hit. Good. Oh, I see some thumbs. Good. Okay, so let's add our break to our marches. So remember, 3 times, and then we break. Ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. We go march, 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 clap 2. Clap 3. Step, hit, step, hit, step, hit, step, hit. You hear that? Did you hear that rhythm? You felt that beat? Let's try it. Let's try it again. Ready? Good. 5, 6, 7, 8. Get low. March. 2, 3, 4. Clap. March. 2, 3, 4. Clap. March. 2, 3. Here we go. We break. Step, hit, step, hit, step, hit, step, hit. Good. Can we do that 4 times in a row? Because I love 4 times. So let's do it 4 times in a row. Don't stop. After we do our break, we go back to our march. Okay? Ready? Let's start with this. Steppers, halt. Huh. We're ready. We're at attention. 5, 6, 7, 8. Go. March. 2, 3, 4. 2. March. Here we go. We break. Step, hit, step, hit, step, hit. Do it again. March. 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 2, 3. And we break again. Step, hit, step, hit. Again. Good. March. Good. This is our 3rd time. 2, 3. Now we break. Stomp, hit, stomp, hit, stomp, hit. Last time. March. 2, 3, 4. March. 2, 3, 4. March. 2, 3, 4. Break. Step, hit, step, hit, step, hit, step, hit. How was that? Whew, I'm out of breath. Are you out of breath? Are you tired? We're just getting started. No, that was great. Does everyone feel good? Yeah? Can we do it again? Let's do it again. 4 times. You want to do it a little faster? I think we can. I feel like I got some professionals out here. You're all ready to join Soul Steps. Okay, a little faster. Just a little. Ready? Steppers, halt. Huh. 5, 6, 7, 8. We march. 2, 3, four, clap, march. Clap, march. Break, step, hit. Do it again, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, march. 2, 3, 4, break, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, again. Clap. Clap, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, break. Last time, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, march. 2, 3, 4, clap, step, hit, step, hit, step, hit, step, hit, step. Good job. That felt good for me. Awesome job, everyone. Back to you, Maxine.
Thank you so much, Diamond. I could see the chat exploding. So we got a lot of love in the chat. Great job, everyone. And I agree with Diamond. I think we have some folks who are going to, who are ready to come on tour with us and travel with us. We just want to thank you for having us. We want to thank the Newark Museum for giving us this platform to share STEP on Juneteenth. It's such a special day. And we just want to, in the few minutes we have left, ask if anyone has any questions before we go.
Thanks, Maxine. Let me see here if we have any questions. I was letting everyone know earlier that they can type those below if they have any. And you did such an amazing job of giving us really a snapshot, not the full breadth of it, but I feel so much more knowledgeable about STEP now. And honestly, the military influence, I didn't realize, even though seeing people perform so many times as I have, it really does remind you there is that military component.
Very integral.
So I see Corey has a question here. Any surviving records of the gumboot stomping language? Like, how has it been translated?
That's a great question, Corey. We get that a lot, and we don't know. Actually, to my knowledge, there isn't any information out there. But my plan is that when one day when I put my stepping shoes to the side, I'm gonna go over to South Africa and dig into the annals and do some research. But right now, that's not known. We get asked that question all the time. Good one.
And then I see one more question, and I'm happy to answer. This one is, how do we see a recording of this? So that's a great question. If you did want to watch this again, get your cardio working one more time. This video will live forever on our Newark Museum of Art Facebook page. So on our social media, just go to facebook.com and look for the Newark Museum of Art, and you will see it under the tab that says videos. It will live there. Right now, it'll be at the top of our post because it's happening right now. But as months and weeks go by, you can find it archived in our video tab. And lots of great comments in the chat. People are really loving it. They were sounds like they were getting up out of their seats. They were getting a little sweaty, breathing hard. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. And then one last question. Do you see a connection between the blades, so the hand movement blades, and the hand movements in Vogue? And that's from Corey as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I had never thought about that until you just asked. Yeah, I don't know much. I don't know enough, to be honest, about the history of voguing, but I can certainly see the resemblance there. The only thing I would say is that with step movement, voguing feels like a more spontaneous kind of movement, and with step, it's all premeditated. With blades, it's all premeditated, and there's a formula to it, and heaven help you if you break that formula as a stepper because it's so disciplined and militaristic. Whereas I feel like with voguing, you're free to kind of just express yourself as individuals on stage. As a step team, you really have to fall in line with everyone else and look the same.
I think the uniformity for me is something that I always thought was so mesmerizing when watching step performances, was like you're saying, everyone in sync, doing the performance together as a group.
Yeah, yeah. Uniformity is that is the goal.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Maxine. Thank you so much, Diamond. So many props are given here in the chat. Everyone is raving. They love it. Diamond, you're an excellent teacher. Maxine, thank you so much for your presentation. I hope that all of you at home are following along, but like I mentioned, if not, you can find this recording on our Facebook page. I hope that you're able to gain some new insights and really hope you valued today's program. We have been so grateful to have Soul Steps with us today. But the fun is not over yet. We have more. I should say the learning is not over yet. We have more coming up. So I hope you will join us for Tearing Down the Fourth Wall, the True Meaning of Juneteenth. It is at 4 p.m. today, and it's going to close out our commemoration ceremony. So if you have not grabbed a free ticket to come into that Zoom, you can do that on our website, newarkmuseumart.org, or you can find the link below. If you go to our website, just click the Juneteenth banner at the top of our page, and you can actually find a listing of all the programs. So don't miss out on that. We're really going to have an excellent panel of real professionals who are going to talk through Juneteenth and kind of share their insights. So that's something to put on your calendar, 4 p.m. today. If you enjoyed today's program, please consider donating to the Newark Museum of Art as we continue to bring incredible programs like these virtually and now hopefully eventually in person. Please consider making a donation. You can find the link below. And I want to remind you all that the Newark Museum of Art is open to the public. So while this program is virtual, the museum here in Newark, New Jersey is open Thursday through Sunday for you to come in and visit and see all of our incredible works and visit with one another and just be a part of the museum. So we encourage you to do that. We also have some programming coming up this summer in our garden. We have an incredible garden. Some of you may not know this, in the back of the museum, and we are utilizing it this summer to put on more programming like what we've seen today. It is called Arts in the Garden, and it is our summer series. We have one of our performances coming up next Friday because June is Caribbean Heritage Month, and we want to honor that. So on Friday, we will have Caribbean Beats. You can find more information below. Grab a ticket to that event. You do not want to miss it. We have some incredible dancers and musicians, rappers, and a DJ that will be there for Caribbean Beats. Please join us. Thank you all so much. One last time, I want to thank everyone here. Maxine, Diamond, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a lot of fun. We hope that you have an enjoyable rest of your Juneteenth, and I can't wait to see you all in person at the museum sometime soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe and be well.